I took my grandma's hand in mine and I kissed it. There was nothing I could say, nothing I could do. I felt so helpless that the only comfort I could give her was just being there. She was the woman who brought me up. When my mom abandoned me to live with her new family, she single-handedly raised me even though she had nothing. She taught me everything I know. She helped me become the woman I am now. And here she was on her deathbed, and I couldn't even bring myself to thank her. I was so scared I'd cry and ruin her last moments. Grandma took my face in her hands, and as if she read my mind, she told me something I'll never forget. There's no use in being sad now. Death is not the end, sweetie. It's just the beginning of another new adventure. I wish I had Grandma's courage. After she said that, she took my hands and removed the one valuable thing she owned from her finger. Inheriting that ring was the start of the most amazing thing that happened in my life. I'm Amelia, and this is my story. Think you have a great title idea? Comment it down below and like the ones you think are interesting. You never know, your story may be the next one we post. Alright, now back to the story. Grandma left me one other thing apart from her ring, her bakery. That was where I grew up, literally. Grandma and I lived in the building's second floor. We would wake up early to start baking the breads and pastries on the ground floor. She taught me everything I knew. And even though it was sad that she was gone, every time I open the bakery doors, it feels like Grandma is still here with me. Life was normal for a while after I had inherited the place. Until one day, something peculiar happened. A guy ordered a sourdough, and when I gave him the bread, he touched my hand by accident. It was pretty awkward. I even blushed. But then, as if the man snapped out of some strange dream, he began to look at me as if he knew me. And then he asked for my number. I told him I would think about it. I brushed off that strange turn of events until it happened again. This time, it was a different guy. Mr. Miller had been coming to our bakery for the good part of a decade. I'd always had a crush on him. He was always in the finest suits and had great taste in pastries. He would always make me smile whenever he'd come to collect his usual order. But this time was different. The moment he took a glance at my ring, he began to confess his feelings for me.
I have always loved you, Amelia. For the longest time, I liked you in silence. But today I can no longer be silent. I need you to know that I love you. I will return tomorrow to propose.
I didn't know what to do. It made me happy, of course. Mr. Miller was handsome, successful, and he had a kind heart. But the whole thing felt off. I confirmed as much when I opened the doors to the bakery the next morning. For as far as I could see, there was a line of men waiting. Some carrying flowers, others eagerly presenting velvet boxes that contained diamond rings. "Amelia, marry me," they all said in a chorus. I was so in shock that I slammed the door shut. What is happening? When I finally calmed down, I opened the doors again. There must be some sort of explanation for this, right? But for days on end, it continued. About 100 men would line up outside my doors. They would shower me with compliments and gifts. Every single one of them would utter some embarrassing phrase about my beauty, or how they were madly in love with me. I didn't know what to make of it. I certainly have never been popular, not even in school. I was plain, boring, and average. So it was a mystery to me how the most eligible bachelors in our city were suddenly clamoring to be my husband. The whole thing was chaos. Because of the spectacle it created, even the news began to write about me and my little bakery. No complaints here. The stories that went to print had the welcome consequence that now people were coming from all over the place just to see what was up. They all wanted to know why rich bachelors were all lining up to see me. But then, it also meant that my mom and her new family heard of my newfound success. They came barging in one morning, Mother pushing aside all my suitors and demanding to see me by screaming my name. "Amelia! Where is Amelia? You, get out of my way! I'm trying to find my daughter." "Nice of you to visit. Do you need anything?" "How cold! Can't I just visit my daughter?" "If I remember correctly, you told Grandma when you left me with her that you wanted nothing to do with me. That you had a new daughter now. I see you've brought her along."
"Nice to meet you too. Mom, just cut to the chase. We're here to take our share of Grandma's inheritance."
"What? You're not even related to her. You're just Mom's stepdaughter. Have you ever met Grandma?"
"So, who cares? We want our share. You're doing well, so surely you can part with 100 grand or something."
100? Mom? What in the actual frick is this gremlin talking about? Well, we're in shock at Mom's passing. And I'm a bit heartbroken that we were never invited to the funeral, to be honest. But, you know, I'm her daughter. Surely I deserve a piece of the bakery's profits. Oh, really? Funny. Because I remember your RSVPs to the invitation I personally sent you, and you said, and I quote, "I have no time. I'm in the Bahamas." I was. Where were you when I kept calling when she first got sick? You told me you weren't interested in visiting. When Grandma got worse and worse, you ignored my messages. And now that the bakery's doing well, suddenly you're grieving?
Whatever. Just tell this loser we're gonna sue her for taking all of Grandma's inheritance.
Mom and her evil spawn came almost every day, but nothing came of their threat to sue. Because the success of the bakery was because of me, and they were not at all mentioned in Grandma's will. Still, they came. And what was more pathetic was that Tracy would openly flirt with the men who came to see me. She would throw herself at them. But it was pretty satisfying to see her get rejected by every single one of them. Mom even went so far as to ask me to convince one of my suitors to date Tracy. Come on, you have so many. Just give her one. She's never had a boyfriend, you know? Gee, I wonder why. One Saturday, the commotion outside my bakery was more than usual. There were cameras clicking and flashing light as soon as I opened the shop. And then the crowd parted. He was tall, extremely handsome, and he had 6 burly bodyguards surrounding him. That was the first time I ever met a prince. Yeah, not only were rich, successful men waiting around for me to date them, now a prince from some faraway nation was here. And for the life of me, I still couldn't understand what was happening. Until I found a letter that my grandma had left me. In it, she told me everything that she didn't have time to say. And at the very bottom, she confessed what the ring really was. It was a love spell. And the reason all these men were suddenly in love with me was because of that ring. I didn't want to go another day wearing that ring. It felt wrong. But something about the prince spoke to me. Something drew me to him. So just for one day, I kept it on. I went on a date with him. And we actually had fun, even though paparazzi were following us everywhere, and Mom kept texting me, begging me to ask if the prince had any brothers who would want to date Tracy. The thing is, at the end of our date, the prince knelt and proposed. My head spun. It was just a silly fairy tale. I just wanted to know what it felt like to be wanted. I was never going to let it go that far, but my heart felt warm when he smiled at me. So I knew I couldn't keep fooling around. I took the prince's hand and I took off my ring. If I was going to fall in love, it wasn't going to be because of a spell. I was ready to come clean. But the prince just looked at me funny.
Spell? Like a love potion?
I don't know, okay? I know, it's silly, but it's true.
I don't know if this is your strange way of making an excuse not to marry me, but...
Wait, you still want me? But I took off the ring.
Do you really not remember me?
What?
When we were both 8, you wrote to me about the most amazing things. You said your school gave you the assignment to make a pen pal, and somehow we found each other. I never told you my real name, for obvious reasons. But ever since you stopped writing, I vowed I'd find you. I was ready to give up. Until one day I read the newspaper, and there you were, all grown up, and the talk of the town.
Pen pal? That was you? So you mean it's not the spell? You really like me?
I always have. And I'm sorry if this is all happening backwards, but I've been waiting all these years and now I cannot let you go. Marry me. And then we'll go on dates and catch up. Get to know each other. Marry me, Amelia. I cannot stand seeing all those men fight over you.
Who could say no to a prince? Of course I said yes. But only because I remembered how much I loved him when we were kids. I used to run to the mailbox every morning to check to see if he had written back. Of course, I never knew he was royalty. But now it all made sense why he was so clueless about poor people stuff. Tracy tried to break us up when she heard I was engaged to a prince. She spread rumors about me and even tried to seduce my fiancé when I invited their side of the family for a dinner. She failed miserably, and I uninvited her from the wedding. The prince and I got married, and now everybody knows my name. And everybody comes to my little bakery. It's more popular than ever now. But to my relief, the suitors had gone away after I stopped wearing Grandma's ring.